Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. The topic is the Cooperative Extension Program at Tennessee State University, and we're talking to Dr. Clyde Chesney. Of course, Dr. Chesney, before we had our first commercial break, we promised that we'd give you an opportunity to talk about the 1890 institutions. Okay. And let's have you to do that now, to give our audience some idea in reference to these institutions and what they represented during the period.
Okay. It's important to understand the history and how we started. When the 1862 university was started, the land grant, the Morrill Act, the idea was to take education out to the common man. And at that time, most people were farmers, so it was basic agriculture and mechanical arts. However, in the South, as you know, with segregation, the African-American population could not attend those institutions. So they came back with a second Morrill Act of 1890 that established the historically black land-grant universities. And again, the land-grant university was established primarily, the first thing was to teach. And then after the land-grant organization was established, research component was added. And then extension was the last one added in 1914. And so the model has teaching on campus, research on campus, and then extending, taking the knowledge out to the campus. So 1890 came into the land-grant system a little later than the other two. However, in terms of cooperative extension, we were not funded until 1972. So again, we were 100 years late in terms of funding. And initially, our funding was all federal dollars, and we had to use those dollars to establish an extension program. Now, with the extension system, when we started receiving those dollars, it was important for us to have a memorandum, if you will, with the 1862s. So in North Carolina, for example, it's North Carolina A&T and North Carolina State. They have a memorandum on cooperative extension program. In Tennessee, it's Tennessee State University and University of Tennessee would have a memorandum. So it's a similar system in all the other states that have 1890, 1862 universities. Our funding comes primarily from the federal government through USDA, Department of Agriculture, and the Cooperative State Research and Extension Education System. As an 1890 system, we have an organization called the Association of 1890 Administrators, and that provides us a close working relationship. We have a strategic plan, we work together, we develop system-wide programs, and one of those programs focusing on the needs of small farmers, for example. We call it Small Farm Assistance and Outreach Program. And that we can share resources, share expertise, and that allows us to take the best from each university to focus on particular problems. That program is Small Farm Assistance Program, or 2501 program, recently moved over to USDA Cooperative State Research Extension Service. And traditionally, when it started, it was funded primarily, the 1890 program. Since then, it has expanded. And one thing that we are concerned about in terms of the extension administrators is that it's a one-year program, and it takes one-year program, and the funding has been limited, if you will. So it's much more difficult for us to find staff, hire staff, train staff, and then without that continuity. So it certainly would help us if we had a 3 or 4 or 5 year funding cycle for that program so that we could establish continuity. Now, of course, our target audience, the 1890 system, is limited resource, small farmers, rural and urban low-income families. So again, we try to target those audiences with our different programs. Of course, in agriculture and natural resources at Tennessee State University, we have a specialist in small farm and integrated pest management. We have a forestry specialist. We have a horticultural specialist, and we also have an animal science specialist position. And those specialists or extension professors develop educational programs that train agents to implement educational programs to help people across the state. We also have educational programs in family and consumer science, and we have nutrition, health and food safety as one area, and family life as another area. And then in the area of community resource and economic development, we have a small business specialist that works with small business, and also community leadership development. And then one of the other specialists in CRD works with, we call it a Land Ownership Information Project. And what he's trying to do is provide an educational program to landowners to help them understand their rights and responsibilities of land ownership. So he also works with small farmers, but also just helping people understand their rights and responsibilities. For example, much of the, historically, much of the land has been lost from, say, black farmers due to the lack of will. There's no proper way of transferring it to the next generation, lack of paying taxes. Our forestry specialist, of course, is working with landowners to plant trees and manage their timberland holding. And then our small farms specialist, extension professor, works with farmers in terms of alternative crops, sustainable agriculture, if you will.
Good. And of course, I think what you're saying here, as we make preparations for the next couple of minutes, Dr. Chesney, is that through your program, you're able to almost touch every aspect of the state, of the various constituencies in the state. I mean,
absolutely.
You can touch business and the whole aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Now, if you look at it from that perspective, what do you think that could happen in terms of your resources? If you were given more resources, what could you possibly do? Where do you feel that you're weak in resources? We got about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Weak in resources and you need assistance.
Well, right now, Tennessee has 4 districts, and right now we have agents in 3 districts. We would like to have agents in all 4 districts, probably 25, 30 counties with cost share funding, and of course the support for them. Most of our funds, probably 80–85%, comes from federal government. And the federal government is going to a system of competitive grants. And part of the competitive grants is having non-federal matching dollars that have to come from state or county or private sector. And 1890s are facing the problem of obtaining those non-federal matching dollars. And so as more and more dollars become competitive in terms of the federal level, we just need more support from the state in order to match those federal dollars. But we are very innovative. We write contracts and grants. And of course in Tennessee and the other states, the county cost share has chipped in and has helped us to meet that match. But again, we could do more with more funds, for more resources, more educational
And
programs.
so you think that if there was some way to deal with this whole idea of competitive grants, that it would more resources could come in to your organization through those?
Absolutely, and part of the thing is having the state provide additional revenue. Right,
very good, and of course that's essentially what we wanted to get from you, that for the most part the whole staff and the whole organization is already there in place, ready to do things, but you find that now since there's been a change in terms of how you receive your money, and now you have to compete with larger institutions that are more endowed and et cetera, and you just don't have those resources.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive environment now for resource development, and of course our appropriated dollars will only go so far and are very limited.
Very good. And of course, let us take this second commercial break, in which we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.